All thieves do not look like this. They look like you and me. They approach us on the telephone, in the mail, on TV, on the radio, and on the internet. Do not give them any personal information or answer their questions. Check with the BBB at 828-253-2392 or 800-452-2882. Or call the North Carolina Attorney General at 877-566-7226. I'm Norma Messer, President of the Better Business Bureau serving Asheville and Western North Carolina. And we have as our guests today two people who empowered themselves so that they wouldn't fall for some of the scams that we're going to be talking about today. And we hope that you will call the Better Business Bureau if you think you are tempted to fall for a scam that comes in any of these ways that we've talked about today. We have with us Dorothy Bethay, who's a retired school teacher, and Peggy Saylor, a retired nurse practitioner. And they're going to share with us some of the one of the things and some of the other things that they have resisted in order to not fall victim to identity theft or a scam. Dorothy?
Well, the first thing I got in the mail was a letter that was very official looking, but I recognized this postage as being from the United Kingdom because I had received years ago some books and things that I had ordered from the United Kingdom on royalty, and I recognized this. That was the red flag for me. But then when I opened the letter, it was from Nationwide Insurance, and it was a very official looking check for $3,500 from Nationwide. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, this is wonderful. I've got some money. Then I looked at this signature and it was Theodore Roosevelt. So I thought, well, that can't be. So then I called the Better Business Bureau, and that's when I found out that it was a scam.
And we're really glad that Dorothy called us because it looks so genuine. These checks look real, and every day we get several calls at the Better Business Bureau from people who've gotten similar checks. Many of them are from Canada. This particular one was from Canada, and it had a stamp from Canada on it. Now, one of the first things we ask people is, look at the stamp. Is it from Canada? Well, immediately you know it's not from Waltz Corporation in Camden, Maine. It's from the other country. And so we recommend then that people call Phone Busters in Canada. That's a division of the Montreal Police Department. And that number is 888-495-8501. So there is one resource that people can go to, although often these people can't be tracked down. Now you wonder what the scam is. Well, it's a counterfeit check. So, well, if you deposit it, what the scammers want you to do, the scam artists want you to deposit this check, and then they say you need to wire them some money. Well, that wire transfer can be picked up anywhere in the world, and you don't know where it's gone. So what they will say is, wire us a portion of this money back. Well, you think, well, I've got this much money, that's wonderful. Well, people take it to the bank, get enough out to wire it back to wherever they're supposed to wire it, and then they find out the check is counterfeit. In the beginning, the bank may think it's real because people have stolen often the real numbers for these companies. We've had that even happen in Western North Carolina. A plant had theirs stolen. So that's one of the things that's very prevalent in this part of the country is counterfeit checks. And we just have to burst people's bubble all the time at the Better Business Bureau because they think it's real money, and it really, really isn't. They do look, as you'll agree, Dorothy, very, very real.
Yes.
Now, Peggy's going to share with us a different situation where we get this mail, and sometimes it's very confusing. So she's going to tell us about her experience.
Okay, well, we got this in the mail. It said time-sensitive materials enclosed, and I know it's usually from some of the credit companies who are trying to get my business, but I didn't recognize the address, and the stamp said pre-sorted standard U.S. postage paid, so there was no clue there. So it was actually addressed to my husband, but since I take care of the finances and the phoning, I opened it up, and they wanted us to apply for a lovely platinum, but no place was there the logo like you would usually see. It just says MasterCard on it, and nice looking platinum card. Well, we already had one of those, and I just thought I just couldn't tell where it was from, and I thought, well, I don't want to do that. And then I saw that the bottom of the back page said Direct Marketing Association member, and I thought, what bank sends from that? Well, I found out later that sometimes the banks do belong to that, but that made me look at it. So I looked, and it said you can choose to stop receiving pre-screened offers of credit by calling this number. So I did, and I gave my husband's address. They had that already, and I don't remember if I gave the date of birth. I hope I didn't, but I'm not sure. They asked for a social security number, and I said, I don't think so. So I called the Better Business Bureau and said, what do you think of this? It was just, and I still don't know if it's reputable bank or of some sort, or it just seemed way too generic. So I didn't do it, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah, it's very generic. There's no name on the return address. There's no real letterhead. There's just nothing to indicate that it is authentic. And even though the opt-out number to get rid of these kind of credit cards was real, Peggy had no way of knowing that. And so she was very wise not to give the Social Security number. The Better Business Bureau recommends you only do that when you've researched that number for yourself. Now, there is a number that you can call to not get the pre-approved credit cards. Now, some people want them, and that's fine. But if they don't want them, they need to call 1-888-5-OPT-OUT. That's 1-888-567-8688. Now, why would you not want to get pre-approved credit cards? Well, for one thing, if they're stolen out of your mailbox, they could be activated and used in your name. If you throw them in the trash without shredding them, they could be activated and used in your name. So there are many reasons that people who don't want pre-approved credit cards, they feel they've got enough already, would call the opt-out number. And that law was passed a few years ago, and for some people that was a really good law to not have to worry about receiving and getting rid of those credit card offers. Now, what are some of the other scams that we hear about? Actually, Dorothy had a similar experience to Peggy's that I'd like for her to share with you before we go into some of the others that we hear about at the Better Business Bureau. And so the card that you got...
Well, I went online, and this was from the internet, and that's another, should throw up another red flag. It did for me, but anyway, I applied for a card, and I got it. And what I thought that it was a credit card, but it was one of these cards that I had to pay, I think it was $59.95, and that came out of my checking account. And I'm still discussing with them. I want my $59 back because I called them and told them I did not want the card, and they said, "Oh, but you agreed to it." Well, I thought you had to sign a contract or something. I'm of the old school, I guess. And I found out all you have to, if you just say yes, or if you give them any kind of positive information, they can use that as you saying, yes, I want this card. So now I called them last week, and I asked for them to play me the tape where I had agreed to this, and they cannot find the tape. So I'm going to file a complaint with the Better Business Bureau, and hopefully I will get that money back.
Yeah, we hope you do, and that's the thing that you should do at this point is file the complaint, because you've tried to resolve it with the company, haven't been able to, and so we hope the people that do accidentally agree to something like that and get charged for it will file with the Better Business Bureau. Thank you for sharing that. Someone often asks, or people often ask at the Better Business Bureau, where did they get my name and address? Well, for one thing, they send out these sweepstakes offers. And maybe some of you have gotten these sweepstakes offers. And all you have to do is send $20 and you've won, they think, over $1 million. Well, what it really says down here in the fine print is that they're going to send you a list of sweepstakes companies. Well, I was reading something from the FBI a couple of days ago, and it was saying, where do people get the names and addresses to send these lottery checks to? The counterfeit checks where people have won a lottery. And the FBI had found they got it from those sweepstakes companies that charge $20 for the information on sweepstakes. So that's one of the resources, but there are many places that they do get that. Now, Dorothy mentioned online. Here's a sample of what somebody fell for. Anybody that's been online in the last few months has seen the acai berry. It just promises to do all kinds of things for you, including weight loss, and we'd love to fall for those, or I do. I see a magazine and it says weight loss and I buy it. But this person sent off for the free sample. And here it is. And it was supposed to be $2.95 for shipping. Free sample, $2.95. So she gave them her credit card number to pay for the shipping. Well, she got a charge of much more than that for that month. And so she contested it with her credit card company. Then the next month came, and she contested it again with the credit card company. Till all of a sudden, the credit card company just said, well, we'll just take your contesting it every month. And so on, this company was taking money out. But this person, who was very astute, had owned several businesses. And at the Better Business Bureau, we had this report. Now, she said she read all the fine print. It just said they were going to send a free sample. But the company had a report of F at a Better Business Bureau in Florida. They had received 2,545 complaints, and the company had failed to respond to 529 of those complaints. And of course, there had been government action, so there's a long report available on this company if people came to the Better Business Bureau and read that. Even though it was from a Better Business Bureau in Florida, we all have access to that information, not just the Better Business Bureau. You can just pull up bbb.org and get that information and find out that's probably not a company I want to deal with. So that's one from the internet. And right today, the ones on teeth whitening, if you go to the internet, you're going to see lots of ads for teeth whitening. And man, it's tempting. And so the Edmonton, Canada Better Business Bureau has received 450 complaints from 47 states, and 5 Canadian provinces and the United Kingdom about Dazzle White, White Smile, Teeth Smile, and Dazzle Smile. So they ended up paying $79 for the free sample and then are charged for several other services, such as a weight loss program, but things they didn't approve. So the internet is wonderful for many things, but often can trap people into getting more than they bargained for. Now, we talked about some of the things that come in the mail. This particular offer has come in the mail and also has come on the telephone, and it's for warranty. Your warranty has expired, and you need to renew it. Well, they they aren't from your warranty company. And so many people have fallen for this. There's a high number of complaints on it. There were a couple of congressmen that received these calls on their cell phone, so they were passing a law about that. But people were fooled. They thought they really had allowed their contract to get close to expiring their warranty. So there are many, many ways that people are misled into believing that there are offers that aren't really legitimate. And that's one we've had much activity on at the Better Business Bureau. This is from the FBI. We get the information from them that helps us to alert the public to information. 11 people were arrested in Israel on charges for phony lottery prize scams, and this was the one that said that's where they got the address list, was from the sweepstakes companies that we talked about earlier. And so they took those mailing lists and participated in a phony lottery prize scheme that targeted victims, mostly elderly, in the United States. And those, like I say, came from when we respond to those sweepstakes mailings, and it's very tempting because, well, it's $20. Well, you don't know it's not only the loss of the $20, they're going to sell your name, and those are sold all over the world. I like to share this information because it's Operation Fish Fry. Now, anybody that has been on the has received email has gotten these phishing emails probably. You know, those little things that say they're from your bank, or they're from PayPal, or they're from the IRS even. And they're just phishing to get information, and that's spelled P-H-I-S-H-I-N-G. Well, they call this a fish fry, P-H-I-S-H-P-H-R-Y. And so there's your fish fry. They caught nearly 100 people in the U.S. and Egypt for the phishing operation, where they targeted U.S. banks and victimized hundreds and possibly thousands of account holders and stole up to $1.5 million from them. So don't click on anything in an unknown email. The IRS doesn't do that. They don't send emails. They don't allow other people to do it if they can help it. So there are many, many things that we need to be aware of out there. And even though email, again, is a wonderful thing, gives us the ability to correspond with people in even other countries without any real problem, it can be a problem if we click on the wrong thing. For example, one businessman just couldn't figure out why $80,000 had gone out of his bank. Now, he was in Western North Carolina. And so he found out later, even though he denied that it could be anything to do with his computer, because he thought they were taking all the safeguards. He found out one of his employees had clicked on one of those emails, had given the scam artist, the phisher, that information. It had a virus in it to go into his computer and get all his banking information. So when they went to the hard drive, they found that was the case. So even though he had no knowledge of this, it happened. Now, one of the things that we see happen very often is identity theft. So that's one reason we want to talk about empowering ourselves not to fall for these scams, because that's one of the ones that we are likely to become victimized by if we don't empower ourselves. So we need to shred statements and applications you get in the mail, including credit card applications, insurance forms, financial statements, health forms. You know, your health form has that Social Security number on it. And occasionally you'll be at the doctor's office and see someone come out and just throw their bill into the trash can. That has all your personal information as well as the doctor's prescription information. So we have to be very careful what we do with those statements. And we need to cut up expired credit cards, debit cards, or ones we're not going to use. We need to cancel them if we're not going to use them so they don't show up on our credit report. And we need to protect our Social Security number at all costs. And that means any documents that might have it on it, including Medicare cards. So people say, well, I got to go to the doctor, I might have to have it, I might have an accident. Well, what they recommend at the Insurance Commissioner's office is that you copy that Medicare card, put it up in a safe place, and almost everybody has their Social Security number memorized, and just give that at the doctor's office or the hospital. We need to make sure our credit card statements come on time. If they don't, that may be means somebody stole it. We need to mail our bills in a secure box. You know, some people write out the checks, put it in the envelope, go out and put up that red flag. That's a signal to the crook that there's some information in there. There's a credit card number, there's a check routing number, there's all kinds of information. So we need to really protect our private information, and that empowers us then to keep the thieves from outsmarting us. That's our goal. These scam artists are smart, and they find ways to get around almost everything. So we have to outsmart the crooks. We really appreciate Dorothy and Peggy being with us today, and we'd like for each of you to share what you think people should do to be aware of and actively do in order to protect themselves from these scams. Peggy, would you like to tell us what you think?
Well, I guess I would say don't be afraid to take the time, which is a problem for me, but take the time to explore and see if this is something that really needs to be shredded or if it's something you want to do. And don't just toss it in. And the other thing is it's okay to say no.
Dorothy?
Well, I would agree with Peggy to take the time to look and always open all your mail. I have found that out. Even if you think it's trash, check the postage, because that tells you a lot. That was a really red flag for me. And then on the telephone, I know, being a retired school teacher, that we used to do have telephone manners classes, and Southern Bell would come out and teach the children how to have good manners on the telephone. Well, it seems like you still can do that, but when you get a call like that, just hang up.
Thank you. Thank you both for joining us today, and thank you for joining us. And if you would like to check with the Better Business Bureau, we're there for you. We encourage you to do so. The number again is 800-452-2882 or 828-253-2392, or you can go to our website at asheville.bbb.org or the national website at bbb.org. Thank you for watching.